What's up, guys? Today we're gonna be talking about Boruto versus Deku with my boy Darkside here.
What's up, guys? This is Darkside here, and thank you both for having me on the channel.
Hey, no problem, man. And we're gonna be discussing their feats and give our thoughts in the end on who would win. Now, this isn't necessarily a death battle, but more of a battle to see who would KO each other first. So let's start off with Boruto's feats. But before I start off this, I'm gonna get these out the way since they won't be too relevant slash unfair to Deku, and probably will be easily overpowered. He doesn't have jutsu nor has chakra. So why don't you start it off?
He can summon Garaga. He has the Karma Seal that can absorb jutsu like fire jutsu, as we saw when Kashin Koji did it to Konohamaru, and Boruto absorbed it when Kawaki did that explosion that blasted Garo in half. So, what are your thoughts about this, Debo?
Yeah, that's actually, that's mighty powerful how the Karma Cell could even do that. Just straight, absorb his jutsu and all that. Now, the Garaga aspect, Garaga is quite arrogant and all that. He likes to go off his own will, so I don't think Garaga is going to really be helping out too much, even if he did try to summon it.
Yeah, I won't really be seeing Garaga helping out a lot because, as we see in the past few episodes of Boruto, Garaga likes it when Boruto is his own man. He likes it when Boruto likes to handle things himself. So,
Pretty much.
don't really see Garaga helping this much unless needed to, unless he pleases to help out. But aside from Garaga, I don't really see him doing much. But the Karma Seal, it does has a limit though to how much he can absorb, because that can also take a toll on his stamina as well. So,
And also, he doesn't really have
factor.
He doesn't really have chakra like talking about. You can't.
Yeah.
Deku doesn't really have any type of fire like Todoroki or nothing, so it would be pointless. It'll just be draining him of energy, if anything.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be wise to use.
Yeah. Alright, so you can keep on continuing.
Alright, so he also has the Jogan that can see through dimensions and go through them like the Kamui does.
In
he can
theory.
also see yeah. He can also see chakra points and see the critical hit points in the body. It also appears that he gets increased dexterity when he activates it while he's fighting Momoshiki. What are your thoughts about this?
I mean, the Jogan, I don't really see it's gonna be too useful, but if you're seeing like critical hit points, let's hypothetically, if you had chakra, it could be useful. But I mean, we don't really know too much about the Jogan. The Kamui thing is like up in the air or not, but we did see Boruto like stick out his fist and go through the dimension with Sumire and we call it. I think Mitsuki was there. So I think the Jogan's like a Kamui in a way, but I mean it wouldn't be too relevant in the fight, like I said. So but Momoshiki, that's also kind of questionable. But yeah, you can keep on going though.
When he was fighting Momoshiki, Boruto was able to outsmart him. That was a god with a shadow clone while doing the vanishing Rasengan, and was able to dodge an attack, which he was previously going hand to hand with Naruto, who is also Kage level. He was able to do the father and son Rasengan, vanishing Rasengan, and kills him afterwards. So, what do you think about all this?
I think that, like I said, if Deku tries to pull any type of fast moves, I feel like if he has his Jogan activated, he'll be like able to, see his moves. Sort of like a Sharingan. No, like, so this is all in just theory. This is not really fact. We don't really know much about the Jogan. It's a mysterious eye. But, as of now, what we've seen at that fight, it looks like he can see the opponent's moves and all that.
Alright, Debo, I guess it's up to you right now.
Alright, so another feat is when Boruto is able to outsmart Kakashi, who is also Kage level in intelligence, with the help of his teammates to do a seal on him, which of course, as you know, he cheated and used the purple lightning on him, but you still gotta give him credit, What do you think about it?
Alright, so if I'm going to talk about Boruto's intelligence real quick, he outsmarted a Kage level Kakashi. And really and truly, that's a feat in itself, because his intelligence says a lot about how he fights. And if he's able to analyze his opponents and use his own ninjutsu against them in a way whereas it can get his enemies off guard, then I believe that Boruto can eventually prevail over his enemies. So it's really good to see that Boruto can actually do this against Kakashi, who is really smart in the series when it comes on to battle. So yeah, that's a
Yeah.
feat in itself.
Like I said, my boy, he's quite smart. He got a lot up his arsenal when it comes to strategic play. Like he's really nothing to play
Definitely.
with. But now Deku, we're not gonna underestimate him. He's also quite smart. Like this
Yeah,
man be
Deku is
planning out stuff. He studies opponents and all that very meticulously. So we're not gonna
yeah,
underestimate him. I feel like
that's true.
their smarts are pretty rival. Deku might be a tidbit more smarter than Boruto in a way because he's very meticulous and he's writing down notes.
That's
So
acceptable.
yeah. So now I'm gonna continue. When he was fighting, Boruto came up from behind and used 3 shadow clones as decoys to distract him. With the third one, he put the scientific ninja tool to fool him. And when he used his chakra saber, as I like to call it, he was able to speed blitz him from behind and chop his scientific ninja tool arm off with ease. While doing that, he immediately does a vanishing Rasengan and whirls him down to the ground, which is, in the process, breaks his bones where he can't even barely move anymore. Like, if that's not smart, I don't know what is. What do you think about it?
Well, as I said before, it goes to show how really smart Boruto is, and it's pretty tactical when fighting because he actually uses shadow clones in a way, whereas, okay, to distract his enemies so that he doesn't see the bigger picture of what's going on, right? And for his Rasengan, like the Rasengan, as you guys may already know, does a massive amount of damage upon impact. So, really and truly, with Boruto mastering a vanishing Rasengan on top of that, like Boruto is seriously powerful and can really does serious damage. So
Yeah, that's just
yeah.
stupid broken, dog.
And with Deku, the thing is with Deku, he can't see the vanishing Rasengan coming. So he won't even know what Boruto will be planning up upon his sleeve. So that's another thing that you can consider there.
That's true, but, Deku also, he has, like, full crowing and all that. He moves, like, real quick. So, it's all up in the air, really.
Yeah.
He'll,
Alright, so
he'll
I guess
eventually catch on. But yeah, you can go on.
alright. So Boruto is able to do the Gale Palm and was able to split blitz Shizuma with ease. He hit him with enough force to knock him into a rock extremely hard. So let's put this into perspective. Mirio was able to knock out Deku in one hit to the stomach. So if Boruto did the same thing, he'd be knocked out by that alone, but at the same time. What are your thoughts about this?
I feel like
So
his Boruto stream is really, really quick. And it has lots and lots of power. This is his whole entire body coming at you. And then, mind you, it has 2 stages to the Boruto stream. When he does, launches himself in a shadow clone, he takes his other shadow clone and throws him and propels himself even quicker. Like, this man, I'm estimating he could be going around I could be, highballing it probably around 10,000 miles an hour or so, possibly. Like, this man's going really, really quick. And I feel like that is a lot more powerful than just a simple punch to the stomach. Simple abrupt punch to the stomach from Mirio. I just feel like the Boruto stream is a lot more powerful. This will definitely knock out Deku if he gets caught off guard by this. Like he's like in a weakened state and all that. I feel like this will definitely KO Deku for sure.
that's pretty good to say the least because the Boruto stream is definitely that powerful to be honest, and it's a move not to be trifled with. So if
It,
that manages to hit Deku off guard, then that's gonna be it for him.
it has like 100% knockout rate. It will definitely knock you out for sure. Even if you're not like fully passed out, it'll debilitate you.
Yeah, I feel that too.
Alright, so you can
Alright.
continue.
So when Deku was training with Gran Torino, he was able to dodge his full Cowling in a short range. So if Boruto does his Gale Palm against him, he'll most likely dodge it while countering him at the same time. Sorry. So what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I feel like even if Boruto does try to do that Boruto stream, like I said earlier, his full crowing, he's gonna be able to dodge that and then able to counterattack him from above. But as we saw when he was fighting against Gran Torino, he was like in a close quarters combat, so he had time to like try to strike down. But as we saw with like, I think he was fighting Stain and all that, he was moving quite quick, so I feel like he could counterattack him if he dodges his move.
And at the precise timing, takes timing though. And if he manages to catch Boruto's stream or his scale palm on time, then he can be able to side it with his full calling.
Yeah.
So I definitely believe that can happen. Then he can be able to counterattack him in his blind spot, and then probably might end the match if Boruto doesn't have anything up his. So
that's like this is if like Deku is debilitated. I mean, he's already really injured. Now I'm going to continue. So now Deku also has other styles like the full crowning shoot style, which is an upgraded version. He can not only dash, but instead of punching, he more of kicks now, as we saw a sneak peek of what he could do in the anime. He punched a falling concrete chunk that was about to hit All Might in midair, and it exploded because he kicked out the way. Not only does Deku have the shoot style and full crowing, Deku has the power to be able to use his one for all to 100% to be able to overcome his enemies with a single hit. He did this against Muscular in a 1v1 battle and overcame Muscular, who had a muscular quirk that could withstand heavy damage. But this leaves Deku with serious injuries. He also hit with 100% when he punched that robot and destroyed it. What are your thoughts on this?
Alright, so you see the thing about the 100% punch that Deku does? I don't feel like Deku would typically use that at first glance because of the fact that it leaves him with serious injuries, which leaves him in a weakened state in the fight to leave him wide open for an enemy to attack him. Don't feel like that would be the right choice for him to use in a match against Boruto, who is very quick. So I can literally see Deku using more of his shoot style at least 5% or his 8% upgrade version of his shoot style to be able to like counter most of Boruto's techniques in time.
Like when we saw him against we call it Bakugo, he's using like 8% now.
Exactly. And he managed to counter most of Bakugo's explosions and managed to evade them in time. So
despite he did lose, it was still pretty, he was doing fairly well.
And another thing to add about his shoot style is the fact that when Deku hit Bakugo with his shoot style, he literally dealt Bakugo damage, especially when he hit him on his arm. It literally left a bruise on his arm, and it was literally printed out on his arm. So that's something to take into consideration as well.
Yeah. Alright, so why don't you continue?
Alright, so the drawback to Deku using his 100% of one for all would leave him in a weakened state, as I said before. And afterwards, which is what would leave Boruto to strike him with his Boruto stream. So Deku wouldn't be using 100% of one for all, as that would leave him vulnerable against Boruto's attacks. So Deku would have to use 8% of one for all in his legs plus 5% in his arms for it to work. What do you think about this?
Yeah, as we said earlier, I felt like if he tries to use 100% on Boruto, it's going to leave him, vulnerable. Boruto has a Shadow Clones. He could use that to really distract Deku in this fight. He tries to keep on punching up his clones, but as we see in Boruto's clones, his failure rate of the clones, they're pretty bad. His opponents always find out and outsmart him with the clones, but occasionally Boruto does get to outsmart his opponents, he did outsmart him with that, but usually on the norm, opponents who have higher intellects, they can outsmart Boruto even if he tries to use Shadow Clones. And we already know Deku, he's really smart, so he'll be catching on. He'll alright, blah 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 blah, he'll be muttering to himself. Yeah, I just feel like he'll catch on to that. And
then again, to mention another thing, Boruto's Shadow Clones is not as strong as Naruto's that can be able to take a good amount of damage and still remain intact, unlike Boruto's clones. Boruto's limit is like 4 clones at best, and it won't take Deku nothing much to knock out all of those 4 clones, because with one hit, a strong enough hit from Deku at 8% shoot style, with 5% in his arms as well, that's more than enough to knock out Boruto's clones. So it wouldn't even be that big of a distraction. Then again, Deku is much faster than Boruto with full cowl and shoot style activated at 8%. So I believe that he can manage to take on the clones. So the clones won't really do a lot in the fight here.
Yeah.
It can serve as a distraction, but it won't be successful because of his speed. So that's something to take into consideration.
Alright, so now I'm going to continue. So, say if Boruto does summon Garaga, it won't be of really any use, because we saw in episode 79, he wasn't cooperative at all, and he was roasting him with anything. Garaga more of goes on his own will, as we said earlier, and rather listen to him, he wouldn't be of any use. Garaga probably would be one-shotted like when Deku one-shotted that robot, as we mentioned earlier. That was just about the same size. Deku is also fairly quick, so he'd be able to dodge all of Garaga's attacks with mid-diff at best. So now we're going to have our opinions about who would win.
Alright, so if I can go off by this statement, I would say, well, I'll roll with Boruto for this one. But for your statement before, let me just answer that one. It based on the terrain with Garaga. Like, if the terrain is dry, and he can be able to move very quickly in that terrain, then I feel like he can have the advantage over Deku's full call and shoot style, right?
Yeah, mind you, Garaga can also camouflage.
Yeah, so that would leave Deku very distracted, and he won't even know where his enemy might be hiding. So Garaga can also be unpredictable at times, to go from like place to place to catch his enemy off guard. So Garaga does that, then that's gonna be it for Deku, really.
Garaga is also quite quick. He's when he was fighting Aoda, Garaga was overbearing Aoda, so Garaga is really, really tough. He'd be giving some like about mid difficulty to Deku if he does manage to defeat Garaga. That's just in my opinion.
And if I can also add in, he also has this technique where he can he spits this weird liquid to be able to turn his opponents into stone. Yeah. So that's another thing that you have to consider as well.
Man, Garaga is really hard opponent to go against. So now, like I said earlier, now we're going to give our opinions about who would win against this fight. So, what do you think about this?
Alright, so based on the amount of feats we've seen so far between these two characters, I'd more say Boruto takes this fight, to be honest with you. Because of the fact that, well, Boruto has way more feats than Deku, and he's more versatile and more tactical with them than Deku, to be honest. Because Deku is still training how to use his shoot style to the maximum, while Boruto has been quite acquainted with his moves for such a long time and has been using them in battle to the fullest. So I can see Boruto literally prevailing over Deku with this. So yeah, that's just what I feel from my perspective. But what about yours?
I feel like Deku is gonna keep on dashing everywhere with that full crawling, and Boruto it's gonna be really hard for Boruto to even catch up with that. Because I feel like Deku might catch him off guard like Gran Torino was when he was training with Deku. He kept like catching him off guard and like punching him and such. And I feel like Deku could do the same thing to Boruto. If they're like in really close quarters, especially, I feel like it might go more to Deku. I feel like he might take that dub. Because even when he was fighting Stain, they were like in an alley. It was more of like a closer range. So I feel like Deku might take it. Especially strikes him like a really good punch like he did to him. Yeah, it might be game over for Boruto, but you already know Boruto, that man's strategic too. He'll think like he punched him, and then he'll turn to a shadow clone, and then, Boruto comes up from behind him, and he brings out like a Rasengan, and tries to Rasengan him, but then I feel like Deku will look behind him and say, what the hell, basically, and Deku will use his full crawling and leap out the way real quick, and then Boruto at Rasengan the ground, and then Deku would try to keep on dashing around and try to punch him. He tries to catch him off guard with that as he keeps on punching him. Then Deku finally finds the real clone because he's like analytically looking at each clone, knowing which one's what, and then he tries to catch Boruto off guard and do a 100% punch on him. Which I feel like if he does land that on Boruto, on the real Boruto, and not a clone, I feel like it could be game over for him at that point. But even if he does, we saw that, what do we call it? You remember when he punched Todoroki? Remember that?
Yeah, he did punch Todoroki, but it didn't necessarily knock him out, but it did dealt him damage.
Yeah, I feel like he does his 100% punch on him, it'll knock him back. Now, I think he got up afterwards, right?
Yeah, he did got up back.
Yeah, and then once he does that, you know, his arm's gonna be all injured and all that. He's gonna keep on trying to dodge him, all that. But then Boruto will probably bring out a Boruto stream and do the Gale Palm on him and then KO him and knock him out. That's why I feel like it could go down. Like,
but one thing though, with the Boruto stream, does it move in a linear fashion? Because if he does move in a linear fashion, not Boruto, but Deku could use one of the smashes from his injured arms, if anything, and just do a smash with that, using his fingers, I guess.
Yeah, he could.
To manage to like put Boruto, to give him some space between him and Boruto. So I believe that can be a factor in as well.
Yeah, just like how we saw him against Todoroki, he's using his finger, even despite they were bleeding and very broken, he was still shooting with his finger and shooting air blasts at Todoroki's attacks.
And all of those blasts were like at 100% power as well, with his damaged arm on top of it. So that just says something to me.
Well, like I said, he has full crowing, so he should be able to dodge Boruto's stream. So even if he does do the Boruto stream, I feel like I said earlier, he's going to jump up in the air and he's going to strike the crap out of Boruto in his back. The real Boruto, not a shadow clone. And he might just KO him right there.
Yeah, I believe I can take it right there. Not to mention the fact that, okay, if the Boruto stream does fail though, Boruto has his lightning style.
Yeah, so, that's true.
If he does use his lightning style onto the stream, I believe he can be able to prevail over Deku because he would be really fast for the eye to see, right? So
just like how we saw, him against Shinki, he was using the lightning style against his attack, even though despite he did cheat and use that purple lightning from the scientific ninja tool. That lightning style, I don't really know what it's called. It's not a Chidori, because, Chidori requires a Sharingan because you're moving at a low ball of 220,000 miles an hour, or, the return stroke of lightning, which is 220 million miles an hour if you highball it. And so, you get tunnel vision from that. You can't really use Chidori like talking about. But, that lightning style, it's quite decently powerful, so Boruto tries to punch that. I feel like he's going to get badly wrecked from that. What do you think about that?
So you're saying if Deku literally punches that lightning style from Boruto, it would wreck Deku? Is that what you just said? Or,
I feel like it's going to wreck Deku if he brings out his lightning style against him. It's going to be a GG for Boruto if he does that.
Yeah, it would be a GG, but if Deku does do his 100% punch against that lightning style though,
that's gonna be a real nasty one.
Yeah, I think
it might go right through it, especially with that plot armor Deku got on. It's gonna go right through.
Definitely.
I ain't trying to downplay Deku, but you got the plot armor activated. He's definitely gonna win.
Plot armor is strong, bro, especially with Deku with his 100% hits. It's no joke with that.
Yeah. I just feel like Deku might win at this fight with probably high diff, I would say, because Boruto's a good opponent.
They're both pretty good fighters, especially at close range. Well, in close range combat, I'd more give it to Boruto because of the fact that, well, Boruto fought Hanabi, which is something that we forgot to bring up. But yeah, he did fight against Hanabi, and the guy was pretty versatile when he was using his shadow clones. That's another thing.
Saying despite he was failing against her, he was doing pretty decent.
Yeah. And he doesn't even have like a dojutsu activated at that time, and he was doing pretty well against Hanabi, who had her dojutsu on. So it just says something about Boruto in close range.
And with the thing with Garu, as we see him, Boruto was struggling against Garu. Garu is really, really quick, and he's moving quite quick. So think about Deku. Deku's moving really, really quick. It'd be hard to catch him off guard. But if he dodges his attack, like if he tries to kick at him with the full crawling, he could possibly catch him off guard if he sneaks up behind him with a shadow clone and downs him that way, and possibly break Deku's bones. That's if he catches him off guard from behind with a Rasengan. Because Boruto's always famous for that. Especially he has like his Jogan activated to be able to see his moves, hypothetically. Theoretically, we don't really know too much, but yeah, that's the way I feel like it could go out too.
Yeah, I do agree with that because Boruto is quite technical with using the Shadow Clone Jutsu, so I can see that being a possibility. With Deku hitting like a fake Boruto, and then probably the real one might come up and just deal with him the finishing blow. So it could go hand. It could go hand at hand, really, if you really look at it.
I can't really say, oh, Deku just stomps in this fight, or oh, Boruto stomps in this fight. It could really go hand at hand. It really depends on.
The battle can go either way, though, depending on the type of moves that is used.
Yeah, it really depends on who does what first, really. So I think this is a pretty balanced fight overall, if you really look at it. That's just my opinion. I'd say it's probably about a draw.
Yeah, I'd more say it's a draw, to be honest, because the two fighters, like, they're really good. But as I said before, it goes on who makes the first move first, right?
Yeah.
I know I did say that like Boruto could have the advantage, but well, looking into it, Deku is a pretty strong fighter too, and he's not dumb. He's pretty smart. He's a really smart kid. He analyzes opponents at first glance, and he can be able to find up a counter attack and all the counter their moves. So it's pretty iffy right here. And then again, Deku has the speed and the reactions to back up his talk, right? So Deku is not a joke here in this fight.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I'd say if like Boruto does something like Garaga, as I said before, it might be in his favor, but we don't know if Garaga is like really much going to help out Boruto much in the fight unless he wants to, right? So
yeah, pretty much. Or if he gets insulted.
Yeah, if Garaga does get insulted by Deku though, that might pose as a problem. So if that does happen, I can literally see Boruto prevailing in that way, but yeah.
You'll still be dodging his attacks though, using that full crown.
Yeah. But it all depends on the terrain in which Boruto does summon Garaga though. If it's not in a good enough terrain.
They're fighting in a cave, it might go to Boruto.
Yeah, if it's in a cave then, but if it's anywhere else like in a fields or anything like or an alley, then
I feel like Deku might be winning in the alley because he can keep dashing everywhere.
And not to mention, he can easily one-shot him with the 100% punch, as I mentioned before. When he does that against that giant robot, he destroyed the hell out of that shit. So if he does that against Garaga, I can literally see Garaga being knocked out by that. But it would leave Deku really injured in the fight, though. So
which he could do that Boruto stream on him and knock him out.
And that's basically it, really. But that's the only way I can literally see Boruto winning the fight. But otherwise, from that, it's going to be a pretty iffy fight because of the fact that their moves are so technical and it can go either and either way, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'd more say it's a draw. But if Boruto just summon Garaga, it's game over. Based on the terrain, of course.
So yeah, that's pretty much all the fight. We're just gonna go and sum it up as a draw. That's all we can say. That's all we can say. It's go hand in hand. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna end the video here. I'm pretty sure the video is hella long now. But yeah. Anyways, if you guys are new here, make sure you go subscribe. Tell me what you guys think about this fight. Who would win? Pretty sure you guys saying Deku slaps or something like that. Doesn't really matter. But anyways, it's been your boy Dio Balboa and Darkside.
Alright, peeps. Be sure to check out my channel in the description below.
Yeah, make sure you go subscribe to him. He makes like awesome gaming content. But yeah, anyways, it's been your boy Dio Balboa. I'm out.